Yeah. We welcome you today. Hallelujah. Yeah. Today on the CJ Moneyway Show. The Moneyway Show. The Moneyway Show. We are honored. Yes, we are. Yeah. To sit down with a woman whose story is as powerful, so powerful, as her divine purpose. Minister Jalisa Hardy, she is the golden child. Minister Jalisa Hardy, walking in the wild. She's a holistic healer, best-selling author, trauma-informed, a force of light for women around the world. Yeah, she turned adversity into auctioneer. Yes, she did. Helping you break free from money wounds. Break every chain. Self-doubt and generational patterns that won't last long, that were never meant to be permanent. This is a conversation about healing, about faith in motion, doing the inner work, so the outer life aligns, from surviving to thriving, rooted in truth and restoration. Minister Jalisa Hardy. Welcome to the CJ Moneyway Show. Moneyway Show.
What's up, my good people? Welcome to the CJ Moneyway Show in association with Bleav Network, where faith meets freedom and every story builds legacy. Today, I'm sitting down with a woman whose light can't be dimmed, Minister Jalisa Hardy, known across the world as the Golden Child, best-selling author and trauma-informed money coach who's helping women reclaim their power through faith, trust, and divine alignment. We're diving deep into the connection between healing and prosperity after spiritual and financial freedom begins within. Jalisa, welcome to the show. How you doing today?
Hey, CJ, I'm good. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for that amazing introduction. I appreciate you for having me on the show.
Oh, thank you for coming on. That's all you. That's all you, Golden Child. Hey, let me ask you before we even get started, because when I saw that Golden Child, I think Eddie Murphy played that role in the Golden Child. So that's where you got that from?
No, actually, it came from basically my mother. When I was conceived, they told her that I would have Down syndrome, that I would be born without a stomach, and that my esophagus and my windpipe would be fused together.
Wow.
And after, sometimes she decided that, I see the test results, I see the, the ultrasounds, all of those things, but I'm believing for a different outcome. And her faith led her to go to a revival, let them know the diagnosis, and had them pray over her. She said that the only thing that she remembers after that is feeling like she was being lifted off of her feet and that God was pouring gold into her stomach.
Wow.
And when she went back to the doctor, they couldn't find anything wrong with me.
What?
So
Yeah. Forget the Eddie Murphy movie of the Golden Child when it was in the little blanket or, things like, you are the Golden Child, man. The power of God. I hear you, man. The power of God. So she felt something coming up, pouring into her stomach. And so when the doctors came back, they couldn't find nothing wrong after all these ailments that were supposed to be taking place and that was going on. Man, won't he do it? As Tamar Jackson say, won't he do it? Tamar Braxton. I love Tony though, but don't tell my wife. So let me. She already know. Let me ask you, Jalisa. Golden Child. Forget Jalisa. Golden Child. That's your name. Your title. The Golden Child carries deep meaning. What does that represent for your journey and your calling?
Yes, for my journey, I would say within the past couple of years, I really decided that I was going to fully walk into the gifts and the abilities that God had given me at that time of my conception. Because I tell people all the time, just like God healed me at that moment, I received the gift of healing to be able to heal people through my words, to be able to heal people with the healing touch, with music, with writing, all of these things that God has given me to provide and really guide people into their own healing, because we all have the ability to heal ourselves. But sometimes we just need some guidance and some reminder that we actually have that ability. So for me, that's really my mission, my calling that I was given at that time as the golden child, to really remind people that not only am I the golden child, but each of us is the golden child, because we all have a specific reason, a specific purpose, a specific calling for why we're here on this earth. I say that when we were born, it was like a piece of a puzzle was missing that we feel, that God filled by placing us here on earth at this point in time. So for me, it's all connected.
As you saying that, it put me in the mind of what one of my pastors told me back in Detroit, Pastor Hill. He say, I should now go back void, like my word shall not return back to me void. And so he say, well, who is the word? You are the word. And he said that you won't return back to God void, because as you said, because we all have a purpose. We all have something that he sent us, gifts and talents that he sent us forth with. But a lot of times we just don't tap into it. And like you said, I think what you said too was plain true to how we look at things. You said, in the last few years, I have dedicated myself to follow the purpose that God has given me, and let this dang golden child not be hidden under a lamp. I hear you. Let your light shine, baby. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Hey, so you said something about you write, sing, and things of that nature. Come on, give us a little insight. I didn't see this on your media kit. Let us in a little bit.
So, like I mentioned, I've literally been speaking, I've been singing, I've been writing songs, writing poetry, probably since I could write. And that's one of the things that I've used to be able to not only, support other people with their healing, but heal myself through the things that I've experienced. So for me, that's really, and more recently, I did a performance with Hope Works of Howard County, where it's a domestic violence and intimate partner violence organization. And we came together as survivors. We did a performance for other survivors to just uplift and encourage them. And that for me, and people were like, you should do more singing, you should do more. But, it's just only a matter of time. I try not to do too much. I'm also a single mom. I have a 6-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 3-year-old. So, and they're home with me. I homeschool them. So for me, I just go where God has for me to go at that time. So you might see some more when it comes to singing. Like I said, I act. It's all gifts that God has given me. I just use them when he allows me to.
When you called her to do it. Hey, man, when we get off of here, I got a song that he gave me in 2018, and my mother laughed me to scorn or whatever, because I am not a singer. But I think it's a heartfelt song, and so I won't be ashamed to sing it to you, man. Take it and do something with it. So, I'm going to say this. As you were talking and you say you got, your kids and you move when God tell you to move. I was listening to T.D. Jakes one time, and I tell people this all the time. And he was talking about pockets. When you have so many things going on, so many ideas, as being a creative, I know you have a lot of ideas and a lot of things that you can do, say you get pulled this way, get pulled that way, then you try to do this. Sometimes it get lonely, when you are creative, because ain't nobody else really in your space. You know what I'm saying? And so it's nothing to bounce things off of. I'm talking about the kids, or if you got a husband, or some husband, if you got a wife. If they not in your space, man, it's hard to bounce things off of. And so you basically in this thing by yourself, a lot of solitude time in your own mind and life. But he said something like this, Jalisa. He said, you got to have pockets. And so he say, you put this idea in this pocket, this idea in this pocket, this idea in this pocket, because if you're working on something, and if I take all these ideas that I have and don't have pockets for them, then I try to fit them all into this one idea that I'm working on, and it don't fit. You know what I'm saying? It don't fit. But as long as you got these pockets, you say, you know what? Because we always thinking. Being a creative, you're always thinking, you're always trying to think ahead of where you are because you see something more than other people don't see, regardless of what everybody else see. I see something different. And so that keeps me propelling and moving on, not just for what I'm doing now, but for what I'm looking for to do later on down the road on top of this, building the foundation. Man, come on, man. We know about where you got to build that solid foundation first. And the golden child started before she was even born. And so let me ask you, Jalisa, how do you see gold as both spiritual and financial symbol?
So, of course, gold, and to a certain extent now, when it comes to physical money, that's what backed our dollar. Okay, that's the foundation of the system, the gold. But when it comes to spiritual, understanding that, I think about alchemy. The way that God does things through us, he uses us to turn the material that he gives us, whether it's trauma, whether it's love, whether it's quote unquote positive or negative, he allows us to turn these things into gold, to use them for the greater good of ourselves and for the greater good of his people. So when it comes to spiritually thinking about gold, being able to turn the material, the messages into gold gives us the opportunity to not just go through experiences in vain, but to actually use them for something positive, to go towards our purpose, to go towards the path that God has us on. Because we can easily, with everything that's going on in the world today, having financial challenges, having issues in relationships, going through health challenges, all of those things can deter us and distract us. But if we decide that, you know what, God has already worked this thing out. He's already worked out the finances. He's already worked out the health issues. He's already worked out the relationship issues. So instead of me using this to distract me and allowing it to distract me and deter me, I'm going to use it as material for the masterpiece that I am and for the masterpiece that my life is.
I like it. You know what I'm saying? I think that goes back to, what he say, I know the thoughts that I have towards you. You know what I'm saying? So he know our beginning and he know our end. I think I know the Bible say that he's the beginner and the finisher of our faith. He, like you said, he already know what we gonna go through. Pastor Jefferson, I never forget him saying this one time. He said, God knew that your mother and father was gonna have you and conceive you in the backseat of a car. Some things you just got to get over. You know what I'm saying? You got to get over something because we trying to interfere with what God has already ordained. It is what it is. He say that your thoughts are not my thoughts. Your ways are not my ways. So like you say, we can get deterred because we thinking and we looking for something to come this way. And, God didn't do it this way because that's how I want it. But that ain't how. We don't know how he gonna do it. We just got to stand 10 toes down. And as you said earlier, move when he tell me to move. That's all we can do. And plant seeds along the way. As you doing with the thing, planting seeds, as the concert that you say you guys put on, inspiring people and planting seeds. Or you might be the one that was watering seeds. We never know. It say that some plant, some water, but neither one of them is nothing because it's God who gives the increase. So all you got to do is play your part. Hey, so let me ask you, Jalisa, the golden child. You lived through trauma, heartbreak, and rebirth. What was your first step towards healing?
I think my first step was really my faith. And that faith, the seed of faith that my mom planted in me. Because I knew, even from a young age, that I had certain gifts. And even though I didn't necessarily understand them, but when you're a kid, you have that blind faith. It's like you're not trying to figure out why. You're trying to figure out what's going on. It's literally you're just walking by faith. You're walking and doing the things that God has given you to do. So for me, my faith started very young because I started to see certain things. And of course, hearing what my mom went through at my conception, it was like, you know what? That is the foundation of the thing, even going through trauma, going through heartbreak, going through, a rebirth, these experiences, my foundation was faith. because I could have easily focused on the negative things. I could have easily focused on the traumatic experiences that I went through. But knowing that nothing that I've gone through, one, is not just for me. Me being willing and open to share my story and my experiences with people, I know that I didn't overcome them just for me.
Mm-hmm.
There are people out there suffering in silence, going through things or have gone through things that feel like they're alone or that feel like they can't overcome. I literally tell people I don't look like what I've been through, and I am not where I could be mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically, because of my faith, because of God bringing me through situations and circumstances that a lot of people did not make it through.
Been a lot of places and did a lot of things that some people have got killed doing. But by the grace of God, I didn't walk down them. You know what I'm saying? He didn't allow me to walk down them steps. And I think you said something that was very vital. And I had to give a shout out to my mother as well. That foundation from the beginning. Train up a child in the way that they should go. And when they get older, they won't depart from it. Because as you say, as a kid, you know, God may have an anointing on your life as he did with David, you know, and you don't know. A lot of times we can be running from what God has called us to do. Once you get to that certain age, I think the Bible say too, it says that he is of age, he can speak for himself. And so a lot of times we got to start speaking for ourselves. We got to find within ourselves, but not knowing, running from this, trying to indulge in this, hang out with this person, do this, that, and the third. And we miss the big picture. And as you were saying, now I'm not where I should be. I'm not where I'm supposed to be because I detoured so many times. You know what I'm saying? But I still got to be thankful and grateful that all them detours and all them distractions that he still allowed me to be here today and get past and overcome a lot of things that, you know what I'm saying, I overcame. And now he has set me and you here today on a divine day, divine moment to share our stories with others. Because if he did it for me, he can do it for you. Because I know that the word said he is not a respecter of person. You know what I'm saying? That's just bottom line. So how did that healing, as you were talking about, become a foundation for entrepreneurship and ministry?
Mm-hmm. So I wasn't even going to talk about this, but it's literally a testimony in the works right now. I literally just had a doctor's appointment for the past few months. God has been telling me, slow down, slow down, slow down, because like you said, I'm a creative. All the different ideas, all the different things, all the different parts. I literally was in the process of building out 4 parts of my brain at the same time. And God kept telling me, slow down, slow down, slow down. And I'm going full steam ahead, moving forward, doing all the things. And I kept trying to figure out, okay, I'm doing all of this stuff. Why isn't it working? Why am I not where I want to be? Why aren't the funds flowing in the way that I want them to be? And God is like, because you're not listening. You're not listening. I need you to slow down. There are seasons of our lives where our ministry can be one thing, and other times God will have us to pivot and shift to something different. I mentioned I homeschool my kids. I just recently started officially homeschooling with my kids because they're 5 and 6. They just started kindergarten. I have been doing it all along. But God is like, this is your ministry right now. I need you to focus on your babies. I need you to focus on your home. I need you to focus on your health. And I'm like, God, but where the money going to come from?
Say, don't worry about the money. I'll supply your needs. You know what I'm saying? That's what he say. I'll supply your needs. Boy, you've been saying it. You say, step out on faith. You say everything that you've done up to this point in your life has been by faith. And so if I've done everything in my life by faith, and he has opened up doors, he has done things for me these many times, why won't he do it now? You see what I'm saying? Because it's that same faith that's going to get me through this that got me through everything else. We just going to be 100 right now. Lord, this don't look like it's going to work. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting a little you know, you said, I know, come on, I don't care how much you read the Bible, how much say you go to church and you do this and that. I always bring up this story. Jalisa, and I know you're very familiar with this one. It was the story about when Samuel was in the prison. Not Samuel. That was in the wilderness. That baptized Jesus. Oh, well, I can't think of his name right now. But anyway, it say that he was in the dungeon. And so the lady, you know, saying that she had danced and everything. And so the king asked her, what did she want? She said that she wanted the head. She wanted his head chopped off. And so it say that the disciples came to him and he said, go ask Jesus, is he the one? Or shall we look for another? Now, here it is that he was born with the Holy Spirit, because they say that when Elizabeth walked in the house, that the baby, that they both leaped in the womb because they know who each other was. And so when he came to get baptized in the Jordan, he already knew that that was the Lamb of God. So he already knew who Jesus was. But when he got into this dire situation where they were saying, you remember the cartoon, Tom and Jerry, they say, touche, Mr. Pussycat, before they chopped his head off with the anvil, he got into that situation. He said, look here, ask, is he the one, or shall I look for another? So we get to them points. We get to that time in life where it's like, God, are you who you say you are? But that's our mindset, because he always is who he say he is. And a lot of times we just don't want to go through the pressure point that he sent us through. And so I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, no matter what we go through, like, we have our spirit and we have our flesh. Our flesh is always going to come up in those situations like, hey, now, okay, what's going on here? We're going to have those moments where we focus on what we see. But the more we understand that faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. When you can understand that and walk in that and live in that, yeah, you might have those moments, you know, where your faith might, you know, might wiggle and waver a little bit, but your faith cannot be broken. When you know and look at the situations and circumstances that God has brought you through. I've been divorced since 2023. And one of the things my ex-husband told me, he said, if you divorce me, I'm not going to help you financially. And that was one of my biggest fears, not being able to take care of my babies. Because I was a stay-at-home mom. He was the sole provider for our family. So you talk about faith, okay, walking out and leaving him, that was a leap of faith, because I'm like, okay, God, I don't know what we're going to do. But month after month after month after month, he's continued to provide, whether business, whether someone just sending me a gift, whether something coming through for somebody else, like literally month after month. Bills have been paid. Debt has been paid off. Like, God has continued to provide month after month. So when these situations happen, he reminds me, okay, I did it before. So trust and believe I'm going to do it again. And the things that I have, my children, they're not just mine. He's given them to me as a manager, okay, as a steward. So he's like, these are my children. So you think, and you're my child, so you think I'm not going to take care of you? You think I'm not going to take care of them? So for me, God is continuously building my testimony, building my story. Okay, I've done it before, and I'm going to do it again, and it's going to be bigger this time.
Yeah.
Check out the movement. Family, real quick. Lean in. If you're listening to this right now, then you already know the Moneyway ain't just a podcast. It's a movement. So make sure you tap into everything we building. It's a Moneyway moving music. New tracks dropping every week. It's the CJ Moneyway Show. Global ranked, purpose-driven voices. Moneyway mindset. Daily inspiration. Real talk, no fluff. You can find it all right now on Instagram, YouTube, and everywhere you stream. Just search out your Moneyway. That's where purpose lives. That's where the next level starts. And that's where we leveling up. Together. Now let's get back to the show.
God puts us in the position, I believe, Jalisa, to build brick by brick. First, we got to lay the foundation down. And so sometimes we can lay down a foundation, but is it a solid foundation? Because I can have cracks in my foundation. And once I begin building on it, because my foundation wasn't solid from the beginning. Everything that I built, as you said earlier, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But why am I not seeing the results? Because it was some things that I missed in the ground levels. You know what I'm saying? I tried to, that's just like Joseph going into the well, right? He had to go into the well. He couldn't skip the well experience and just get to Egypt. You know what I'm saying? He had to go through that well experience. He had to get sold. He had to be in the potter's house. He had to go to prison, then to his destiny. See, we try to shortcut it. I don't want to go to the well. I don't want to be sold in slavery. I definitely don't want to be in prison. You know what I'm saying? Just get me from the dream to the promised land. Life don't work like that, though. It just don't, because as you keep on saying and you keep alluding to, and it falls back to it, by faith. By faith. Regardless of what we're going through, keep your head up, keep moving, and know that he said in his word that he would never leave us nor forsake us. Hey, so let me ask you, Jalisa, what are common money wound behaviors people don't realize that they have?
Ooh, that's a good question. And I think it really goes back to our childhood. I know it really goes back to our childhood. So I also have a background in early childhood development. So from the ages of 0 to 7, we establish a lot of our beliefs, a lot of our habits, a lot of our ways of being as an adult. So when it comes to money, we learn about money most of the time indirectly, because in most households, in most schools, they're not teaching about money, how to manage money, how to save. Those things you kind of got to teach yourself or learn through what your parents did. So you might have a parent that was a saver. You might have had a parent that was a spender, or somewhere in between. So when it comes to those habits and those money wounds that we picked up, not just from our parents, but from our ancestors, because, you know, as Black people, slavery was a thing. And generationally, it's called epigenetics. That trauma was passed down and it's in our DNA.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're in a space and place where you're stressed out and you're going shopping because that's where you are, you might not even have the money. You might have to do it on a credit card, but you're not understanding why you're doing it. It's just something that helps you to feel better for the moment. And then when you go back, you look like, man, I'm continuing to dig myself deeper into a hole and I don't know how to get out. On the other end, it could be that you're afraid to even spend money. You're making money, you have enough, you have more than enough, and you're afraid to spend money because you think that it's not going to come back to you. You could be in a space and place where financially you're at a deficit and you're not even willing to look at your finances. You're just in such a space of fear and anxiety. You won't even look at your bank account. You won't open your bank account. You won't look to see your bank statements. You won't look at any of it because of this fear, this wound that you've had, or this trauma that you've experienced. And you don't even know where to begin to even address it. So it can come from our ancestors. It can be passed down in our genetics. It could come from our parents, the experiences that we had. It could come from, like me, I went through a marriage, getting divorced. Those are traumas that impact how we move forward when it comes to our money.
So let me ask you on that note then, when we had trauma, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to money, but these are, you're not just dropping money lessons, these are life lessons as well. You know what I'm saying? Just the trauma and the things that you go through in life. Sometimes the trauma that you go through keep us from getting to the money. You know what I'm saying? Because we bury our talents and we bury our gifts because we so depressed about what happened to us, you know what I'm saying, in the past. Our mama wasn't there or daddy wasn't there, you know what I'm saying? And so, you know, so we take our anger out, we try to suppress it, but we take it out. And so, you know, just life is not joyful. So that takes us from getting to the money. So these are also life lessons that you're giving us too. But let me ask you, you know, let me go back a little bit. So how can people get over money trauma? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's one of the first steps that somebody can do to try to get over these type of situations?
Awareness. Awareness, like thinking about, okay, where am I right now in my relationship with money? Because everything is a relationship. So starting out with writing a letter to money. with all of the emotions, all of the feelings, all of the experiences as if money were a person, because it gives it a new experience for you to be able to talk to and stop to listen. Okay, what might money be telling me? What is a lesson that money is trying to teach me? Because a lot of times we don't even think about it as a relationship. We just think about it as something that, we have to do or something that we have to avoid. So the more the awareness that you create, the more intimacy you create in your relationship with money, that's when you start to begin to heal your relationship with money, because it becomes a deeper experience than just looking at your bank account to say, okay, this is where it is or this is where it's not. Because it's so much deeper than the money on the screen, the numbers on the screen. It's so much deeper than that when it comes to your relationship with money. So starting out, writing a letter to money, just getting it all out, hashing it out with money in this letter, and stopping to hear, what messages money might be having for you so that you can move forward. Again, you can't get to another space and place if you don't know where you are. So starting out with that awareness and acknowledging where you are, actually taking the time to look and have an accountability for it, because a lot of times we don't, easy for us to go through and say, okay, I'm going to do better. I want to do better. But if you don't have somebody in your corner holding you accountable for those things, it's easy to continue to push it to the side. So awareness and accountability are the places to start when it comes to healing your relationship with money.
I tell you, I'm going to be honest. That was a long period in my life, golden child, where I didn't have a relationship with money at all. I didn't have awareness. I didn't have accountability. I gambled, drank, smoked, partied, everything. And so I go to the Tom and Jerry cartoon. It was an episode where Tom had money. He was a zoot suit man. And he had like a little pitcher. It was like a water pitcher, and he was just pouring money out, and it was just on fire as he walked. That's how I used to do it with money. No relationship at all. It just burned in my pockets. I don't know what to do with it. Boy, I look back at it now. I gambled for 10 years straight. I probably lost $1 million. People probably say, "Man, you lying." I lost every. I was just telling my son this the other day. I gambled for 10 years straight, Jalisa. 10 years, from 96 to 2005, when the Holy Spirit finally spoke to me about some things. And I can count. I was just telling my son this the other day. I can count on one hand how many times I actually walked out of the casino a winner. So I get my butt chewed into back and forth, So you talk about not being accountable for money and not having appreciation for it, and say, he who is not faithful over a small thing, how can he give you abundance? Because you ain't even faithful over the little bit that you got. And so I had to learn the hard way. And the name that I was trying to think about earlier, John the Baptist. Had to get that right, John the Baptist. So let me ask you, Jalisa, what are common money wound behaviors people really don't realize that they have?
So we talked about this, but what came to mind is feeling like you're not worthy of having money, like you're not deserving of having money. So it's easy for you, like people say, money burning holes in your pockets. Like you just had to gamble it. You had to gamble it away because it was burning a hole in your pocket. And that's how it can be. If tax time come or you get a big lump sum of money and you automatically go to spending it, it's because your nervous system doesn't feel safe having money. Your spirit doesn't feel safe having money. So it's easy for you to just go out and spend it or give it away or feel like I don't want to get to a certain place financially because I don't want people asking me for money. So you stop yourself from achieving financially because you don't want people coming to you for money, because you might have seen, like for me, I've seen my mom give away everything that she had to her very last dime and then some. And I was in the space and place where I had to really deal with that, because I'm like, people, I don't want nobody asking me for no money. Like, don't ask me.
Don't ask me for a darn thing.
But you have to find that balance of generosity, but also knowing how to keep what you need in order to be able to provide for yourself and for your family.
Mm.
So if you feel like money burns holes in your pocket, if you feel like, you don't want to let it go because you don't know if you're going to get it back or if you're going to lose it all, those are the behaviors. Like you said, gambling. There was a root of that. There was a root of that. It's always a root of a behavior, whether positive or negative. It's always a root of a behavior. But it's a need that you are trying to fulfill. And a lot of times, whether it came from a parent or a past experience, there's a need that we're trying to fulfill by these bad or toxic behaviors when it comes to money. So get into the root and figuring out what that need is that you're trying to fulfill. Then you'll be able to start to peel the layers back, because it's layers. It's not just a one and done type of thing. It's layers to it.
Different levels, you know what I'm saying? There's different levels to that. And so you made me think about something when you started off the conversation about don't ask me for nothing, you know what I'm saying? Like, don't ask me for no money. And so around this time, 10 years ago, I got two things going on. One, November 15th to be my 10-year anniversary of my book being published. And then two, to be the 10-year anniversary of my father passing away. He passed away exactly 1 week later after my book was published. And so I say that to say that, you know what I'm saying, going into this season, I was telling him one day, he was in the hospital, he had back surgery, so we were talking on the phone. And I was telling him, I said, I was reading the scripture and it was talking about how the guys was in the boat. And they was out on the boat and they couldn't catch nothing all day. And so Jesus came and he told them to cast their nets on the other side of the boat. And so when they cast, and so, Peter was like, what difference is going to make? You know what I'm saying? We've been out here all night. So he said when they cast it on the other side of the boat, they began to get so much fish that the ship began to sink. And I was telling my father, I say, I had to stop and think about it, because as we read, sometimes he'll pause you like, wait a minute, I didn't see that last time, or I didn't have a comprehension of that. And they said that they had to call other fishermen, from the shore to come help them get some of these fish off the boat. If not, they would have drowned. And so when you said that, it made me think we can have so much in life and attain so many things in life. We would rather drown with what we have than to give it to some other people. You know what I'm saying? Than to share with what God has given us. We'd rather drown with it all, or as we say, die with it all instead of helping somebody else come afoot. But as you were saying earlier about our generation or the things, the trauma that we went through that they're trying to take us back to now, but we're not going to go there right now because I don't want to go to some places I don't want to go. They got them boys out here, you know what I'm saying? I won't knock on my garage door as I'm doing a podcast with the golden child. And so let me ask you, Jalisa, as we get ready to wind this down, how often do you talk about human design, and how does that help women reconnect with their divine gifts?
I talk about human design a lot. So it's based off of your date of birth, your time of birth, and location of birth. Like we talked about earlier, God is very intentional about the details of our lives. The day you were born, the time you were born, and the location of you were born, he chose specifically for a reason. He created us and designed us specifically as individuals. All of us have unique gifts. All of us have unique talents. All of us have unique personalities, unique experiences. And human design supports you with, like we talked about, taking off those layers of things that we were not created to be in order to get to the most authentic version of who God created us to be. It shows us that, there might be labels that people have put on us or ways of being that people have told us was wrong. And it helps you to see that it's really nothing wrong with you. It was just the experiences that you've had and the things that people have told you that have really gotten in the way of who God created you to be. So human design, I call it the personality test on steroids because it's specific to you. It's not just like the Myers-Briggs where you get the 4 letters. It's literally specific to you. It's the blueprint to who God truly called and created you to be. So it really helps women and people in general to see through and past their experiences, past their traumas, past the labels, to really get to who God called and created them to be and walk in that confidently.
So I only got one more question for you, but before we go any further, where can the women go, or can people go to find this personality test, to take their personality test, and where can they find Jalisa, the golden child Hardy at?
Yes, my website, jalisahardy.com. You'll find all my social media. You'll find where you can get your human design chart. You'll find how to continue to work with me to support you as a self-discovery and alignment coach. You'll find my books, all of that on my website, jalisahardy.com. I am on all social media platforms at Jalisa the Golden Child, all one word. And yeah.
And trust me, she out there. I'm following her on Instagram. She out there. Everybody throwing out these nuggets. So just let me ask you this final question, Jalisa. How can listeners start identifying where they're blocking their blessing?
That's a good question. I think really looking at the different areas of your life. So I'm reading this book called Designing Your Life, and it talks about a dashboard of, like a gas gauge where you have it's a quarter tank, half a tank,
Empty.
3/4 full tank. And it talks about these 4 areas. It talks about your health. It talks about love. It talks about money and fun. So these are the 4 areas that it talks about. You can really input whatever area of your life, but really it starts with that assessment of where you are in the different areas of your life. You can look at the health wheel, the different areas, but it really starts with an assessment of where you are. You will not know how to improve, what to improve, or where to improve if you don't do the assessment of where you are right now to see the things that need to be changed. What's working, what's not working. That awareness and really taking the time to assess where you are and how you got there so that you don't make the same mistake that you made. What do they say about insanity? It's doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Okay? So if there's an area of your life where you feel like you're stuck, if money is that area of your life where you feel like you're stuck, start by the awareness. Start by assessing how you got to where you are, so that you can know what's going to help you get to the next step and the next stage and not repeat the same mistakes.
So on that note, golden child, I don't want to elaborate. I think I've done that too much today, but I love having real, genuine, honest, open conversation. So, Jalisa, before we get out of here, just give us one thing that's on your heart that you would like to share with the audience.
I think I touched on it before, and I say this at the end of everything. If nobody told you today, okay, if you haven't heard it in a while, I love you, I see you, and I'm so proud of you just for being who you are. No situation, circumstance, or relationship can take away from the value, the worth, or the enoughness that you have. Okay, you are born with it. You are born valuable. You are born worthy. You are born enough. Okay, the way that you show up in the world is just an expression of that value. Nothing can take away or add to it because it's infinite. God gave you infinite worth, infinite value, infinite enoughness. So the more that you see that and walk in that, the easier life will become. The more present you can be in the moment, the easier life will become. Because the more we focus on the past and the more we think about the future, we get depression from thinking about the past and anxiety from thinking too far into the future. So the more present you can be with God, the more present you can be in the moment, the easier life will become.
And I want to add to what Jalisa said when she first started. Have a blessed day on purpose whenever you listen to this episode. That's a wrap on this powerful episode of the CJ Moneyway Show. Minister Jalisa, the golden child Hardy, reminded us that healing isn't a finish line, it's a foundation. When you face your wounds, you make room for wisdom. And when you make room for wisdom, abundance follows. If this episode blessed you, share it with someone who's ready to break free, heal forward, and walk in divine purpose. I'm your boy, CJ Moneyway. And remember, faith is the first investment. Hey, this your boy, CJ Moneyway, with my girl, Jalisa, the golden child Hardy. We out of here. Peace.
Before you go, let me leave you with this. Every story shared here, it's a reminder that your story matters too. Keep your faith sharp, keep your focus steady, keep your vision clear. And if this episode gave you wisdom, hope, or a push forward, share it with somebody you love. Tap in with me on all platforms, Edge Moneyway, and stay locked into the movement, because God's not done writing your chapter. This is the CJ Moneyway Show. Brick by brick, and always Moneyway.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.